So you ended up with rubbery chicken. Here's what to do with it. To put it very simply, there's not any way you can fix rubbery chicken. There's nothing you can do if your chicken's overcooked, but that does not mean that you have to trash your chicken. It's food at the end of the day, and us as chefs, we have to be constantly aware of how to repurpose food in the kitchen without throwing it away. So here's my trick of what to do if your chicken turns rubbery. Hey everyone, my name is Neil. I'm the test kitchen manager at Haven's Kitchen Sauces, and today I'm going to walk you through some tips and tricks on what to do if you just cooked a chicken breast and it turned out way too rubbery. Before I even walk into how to fix rubbery chicken, let's talk about why your chicken might have turned out rubbery. The first thing would be is you just left it in the pan for way too long. For example, if you were following a recipe and the recipe said sear your chicken on one side for 3 to 4 minutes and for 3 to 4 minutes on the other side, maybe the person who wrote the recipe was talking about a chicken breast which was quite thick, so you just followed the recipe, didn't think if it was a guideline, and just went on and cooked the chicken for the same time, not kind of seeing how long to cook that chicken for. And that's one of the biggest reasons why chicken gets overcooked. You just left it in the pan for too long. The second reason why you might have overcooked your chicken is if you didn't cook it the correct way. For example, if it's a really thin cutlet of chicken, the best way to cook that chicken is to literally slap it on the grill for 1.5 minutes on each side and take it off. If in a case like this, you first got some color on the chicken, then put it in the oven to finish, it's just going to overcook. Certain cuts of chicken just take certain amounts of time to cook. It's very important to know what to cook for how long. If you've been grilling your chicken breast and the chicken's too rubbery, this is when you would kind of make a sauce, or you would kind of make a stew and then cut up your chicken and put it in the liquid. What's going to happen is that the toughened fibers of the chicken are going to loosen up and the chicken's going to get moist again. It just makes sense, right? If you have a really crusty piece of bread and if you soak it in some sort of liquid, eventually the bread's going to get soggy, and that's only because that's what the moisture does. So if you have a breast or a thigh of chicken that's way too rubbery, you don't know what to do with it, make a stew, make a soup, shred that chicken and put it in that soup. The liquid is what's going to make that chicken tender again. For example, we have a dish which is called the easiest, fastest chicken soup ever. We use leftover rotisserie chicken for that recipe, but if you have a breast of chicken that you overcooked and that's just not salvageable anymore, you can really shred it into small pieces, make the same recipe and add that shredded chicken into the soup. So another really interesting way of how to fix rubbery chicken is to really cut up the chicken into small pieces and putting it to a good application. For example, if you have a breast of chicken that's extremely rubbery, what you can do is cut it into small cubes and put it in a salad, because this way when you're having a bite of chicken which is kind of rubbery, but in contrast to the texture of lettuce, it doesn't seem that rubbery anymore. You're literally cutting it into small cubes, throwing it into a chopped salad, throwing it into a Cobb salad, and eating it with the other textures like a soft boiled egg. You're having it with the textures of cherry tomatoes, you're having that with the texture of romaine lettuce. Suddenly you don't find that chicken that rubbery. It's kind of psychological, but it also makes sense that when you break something into smaller pieces, you don't find it tough anymore. So we have a recipe for a Southwest chopped chicken salad. We grill the chicken breast for that recipe with the tangy barbecue sauce, but you don't have to do that. What you can do is literally, if you have any sort of leftover chicken breast, cut it up into small cubes and just toss it in your next salad, and you're going to see that the chicken that you were finding rubbery, you don't have to throw it, but it still serves a really good purpose. You don't have to follow any of these tips if you just learn how to cook chicken perfectly. And these are my go-to tips to make sure that your chicken is really cooked till a point where it's still moist and juicy in the middle, but it's still got that unctuous flavor of the chicken. For starters, when you're cooking chicken at 12:30 at noon, make sure that you pull it out at the fridge at 12. Basically, you're just giving it half an hour to come to room temperature. And what this is going to do is, you're going to allow the chicken to come to room temperature throughout the chicken breast. If you think about it, if I'm cooking right now, and if I pull my chicken breast out of the fridge, it's going to be cold throughout, right? So when I slap it onto the pan, you're going to see that the top gets the sear, it's going to get the color, but it's still going to be ice cold in the middle. So what am I going to do? I'm just going to keep cooking it, keep flipping the chicken breast till it comes to that perfect temperature of say 165 degrees Fahrenheit in the middle. But what's happening now is that even though the interior is kind of done and it's perfectly cooked, the exterior is completely overcooked, almost registering a temperature of say 195 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, which is extremely overcooked for a breast of chicken. So make sure that you temper your chicken breast, pull it out of the fridge at least half an hour before you actually start cooking with it. I like to use two ways to cook my chicken breast. I love getting some color on the chicken breast or on my chicken skin, and then I just pop it in the oven at 375 for about 11 to 12 minutes. And what this does is that it gives me the control, one, to set it and forget it. I did my job of getting the color in it, I put it on a sheet pan and I just put it in the oven to finish cooking. So I'm not constantly worried that, hey, has it been 3 minutes on this side? Has it been 4 minutes on this side? When it goes in the oven, it's getting uniform heat from all sides to make sure that the chicken gets cooked perfectly. You really want to invest in this. It sounds very scientific and it sounds like something only professional chefs use in the kitchens, but everyone and anyone should use this. This little thing is called a meat thermometer or a probe, and this part that you see is extremely sensitive to heat. So when you pop this in the thickest part of the chicken breast or your chicken thigh or your whole chicken, you're going to see how accurately it reads the internal temperature of the protein. And this doesn't apply only to chicken. It could be to fish, it could be for pork, it could be for ground mince, it could be for anything. What I like to do, and this is kind of a restaurant trick, is all the recipes will always say that make sure your chicken is cooked for an internal temperature of up to 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Yes, which is absolutely serve safe and the food safety certified way of how long to cook a chicken for. What I like to do is I like to pull my chicken breast off at 160 degrees Fahrenheit, and here's why. The same way you let a steak rest, you let it come up to temperature. This technique in cooking is called carryover cooking, which means that there's enough heat in that chicken breast to keep cooking itself without being directly connected to a heat source. So when I pull my chicken breast off at 160 degrees Fahrenheit and I just let it sit on my cutting board, the chicken breast itself is going to take itself up to 165 degrees Fahrenheit, which is amazing because now it's safe to eat and it's still at 165 degrees Fahrenheit. What happens when you take chicken breast off at 165 or 167 and then put it on your cutting board is it goes up to 175, 180. And at that point, your chicken's completely overcooked. So the last 5 minutes of the chicken should happen on your cutting board, on your plate, for the chicken itself to come up to 165 degrees Fahrenheit without any heat source. For more educational videos like these that are going to make your life simpler in the kitchen, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to always be updated about all our cooking videos that we do at Haven's Kitchen. My name is Neil. I'm the Test Kitchen Manager at Haven's Kitchen Sauces. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure that you always see what we're up to.